welcome to the Two Hats in a Microphone podcast.
Cute.
Here, powered by Pure Funding. Welcome, Candice Lambdin from Fire Oak Grill, downtown Weatherford, Inc., serial entrepreneur.
Unfortunately, yeah. That's true.
It's addicting, right?
It is.
Might as well start 2 or 3 if you could start one.
Yeah.
There is 7 days in a week.
Yeah.
The idea of what we're trying to get across here is to introduce businesses, entrepreneurs in Parker County, Weatherford, to the community, and kind of, we want to hear more of your story and your business specifically. So obviously, we've worked with you in a few different capacities.
Right.
But obviously, we like to eat your steaks, and we've actually done some loans with you.
That's right.
And one of your other businesses. So that's fun. So tell us a little bit more about that.
I married a chef is kind of how it got started.
Chef Grant, give
That's
him a
right.
plug.
Yep.
Yeah,
Shout
that's
out.
right. I actually grew up in Weatherford. I don't know if you guys know that, but I grew up in Weatherford, graduated from high school here. I left and really never had plans to come back, which a lot of people say the same thing.
Right.
They leave their hometown, they don't plan to come back, and then, you know.
My mom's so
trickle
mad
back.
that I haven't come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I married a chef. We lived in Fort Worth for 15 years, and we were running a food truck. So he worked for several restaurants. We bought our first food truck while we had a catering business, and we ran that for 3 years before buying Fire Oak.
Okay.
So we were actually working in Weatherford at an event, and we met this man who's still one of our dear business mentors from Parker County. He lives out in Lipan, and he said, "Hey, between me, you, and the fence post, there's a restaurant for sale in Weatherford. It's not going to go on the market, but I think you guys are right for it.
Right.
Are you interested?" First of all, we're 3 years into a food truck. I don't know if we're interested. I've
Right.
never seen this. I was not interested at the moment in Weatherford specifically. So we went to lunch at that particular restaurant. We reviewed everything, and we decided, and the two of us really thought about it and talked to all of our mentors, and it all made sense, and that's how I got back to my hometown. So we bought Fire Oak in 2017. It's
Been a minute.
it's been 7 years now. It's been a pleasant surprise. The town I grew up in is not this.
Right.
This is not the town I grew up in anymore. The community here is so much stronger than it was back then, so much more cohesive. I really believe people love each other here.
Yeah.
So we've had a really awesome experience at Fire Oak. I will tell you, the first 2 years I felt like we were chewed up and spit out every day. The previous owners had a really great reputation here, and they had a really good client base.
Right.
So those people were very older Parker County heritage type families who came to Fire Oak all the time. So I was like the stranger coming in, don't mess this up. Do you have any idea how hard they worked for this? And I'm like, but I mean, I don't want to mess it up. I just paid a lot of money for this. I'm not trying to mess it up, but we're going to make it us.
Yeah.
We're going to make it ours. After the first 2 years, it was 2019. Everything was going really smooth. And then in 2020,
Yeah.
COVID hits. COVID hits. So luckily, our experience with the food truck and with catering and with some other business ventures that we did prior to Fire Oak kind of prepared us for COVID.
Yeah.
We were able to pivot really, really quickly and do this kind of pickup situation. We did to-go
Absolutely.
food. We did grocery kind of hauls. We actually put toilet paper in with the groceries because people were able to get stuff from us and our purveyors that the grocery stores couldn't get.
Oh, wow.
So we did that. We worked the
Fire
entire...
Oak TP.
Yeah, we did. We absolutely did. We actually worked the whole time through COVID. We didn't take a
Right.
break. We tried to just provide whatever we could for everybody who was hurting a lot worse than we were.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was very scary. We didn't know how we were going to make it, but here we are.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't think
good.
anybody did. That was the craziest thing.
It feels like it never happened. It feels like a fever dream now when you think back on those times. Like it just doesn't feel like reality
Except the
to me.
inflation that we're dealing with now.
that's the
That's
fever.
That is.
That's the fever.
That's true. During COVID is when we kind of started doing some of the other things and some of the other entrepreneurial things that I'm involved in because we decided we didn't need all of our eggs in one basket.
Sure. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I remember going back to COVID and trucks lining up to the curb there at the front. It was like, can we just eat it here? Because we didn't want to go home. Everybody was sick of being home, so it was like, let's just hang out here. And there'd be like 10 cars lined up
On the curb. And we're like trying to keep the 6 feet of distance, but like you haven't seen anyone except for those like 4 people that you're working with for those 6 weeks. So you really desperately want to go and just like have a drink with that person or share a meal with them. So I think it did a lot to people mentally during that time.
Sure.
So I'm glad that we're all somewhat recovered. I will tell you that the workforce is not recovered, and that there's like this new workforce that we're dealing with. The COVID kids is what I call them. They were like in the last years of high school, like they couldn't go to prom, they didn't get to do all the cool things that we all got to do, and so that generation of kids, they're made differently. It's a different workforce than I've ever had to deal with. So
I couldn't imagine living, based on kind of growing up the way we did and being outside all the time, the sports and the interaction and all that.
He was before cars, so it was real difficult.
We still have horses.
That's true.
But no, that was an awful. It was crazy. But you guys did a great job of
thanks.
reaching out to the community and always being there. And like you said earlier, that's the part that's Parker County, Weatherford specifically is about. So
we've said so many times we're so thankful to be where we are.
Yeah.
So even though it wasn't my plan, we're very thankful to be here. We love this community.
Yeah. Well, I got introduced after COVID, so I didn't get to go through all of that.
Yeah.
It's probably the end of 2020, beginning of 2021 when we started going there. Gary let me tag along.
Got it.
That's what it was. I got to start tagging along. So I didn't even get to experience all that.
Gary and Kelly briefly before COVID, and then y'all moved away for a little while.
So it's probably right after you bought it. I think I was in 18. We went to Colorado. I was working for a very kind of nimble marketing company that was trying to we were basically trying to sell the business, and they felt me being there at the business would help add, some
value.
And so we understood real quickly that we weren't built for. I knew I wasn't built for it because I came from Michigan, and so I left Michigan when I could. But man, Colorado winters it takes a different person to.
But they would say the same thing about people with Texas summers. It takes a different kind of person to be able to handle Texas in the summer. So.
People with amnesia that forget it every year. They're
We
like,
forget.
oh, it was that bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I grew up here my whole life, but I realized how bad summers really are in Texas when we were running the food truck.
Oh, I bet so.
So those food trucks are brutal during the summer. So I have a lot of respect for the full-time food truck people that are still doing it. Because I remember our first summer, I had heat stroke.
Right.
It was 130 degrees in our food truck. I mean, there have been times that I would strap like frozen water bottles to my core just to keep from passing out. So because we had to work, like we had no choice. We have a line of people, and it's 100 outside, 130 in there. So.
Did you still use it?
It's operational. We do still use it. Mostly now we do it for competitions, like once or twice a year. We do food truck competitions. We do fundraisers. And then we'll take it and use it sort of as a mobile kitchen for really big catering gigs, things like that. So the Bite My Biscuit brand has kind of like simmered down a bit.
Right.
But we've actually introduced a few of those old school Bite My Biscuit items to the Fire Oak menu during brunch.
All right.
So I do
brunch
make.
is new.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing brunch now Saturdays, and I wake up at early on Saturday mornings to make biscuits from scratch. So it's kind of nostalgic for me because it's been
back to your roots.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of fun.
I don't know that I've had
The biscuits?
The biscuits.
Well,
Might have to go to brunch.
I know. Might have to try brunch.
Yes.
I put it down on the calendar after we talked about it on Thursday. Julia's like, what is brunch fog on the calendar? I was like, I think I was putting it down so I'd know that we have that option, but it was pouring on Saturday, so we didn't make it.
How much do you think the weather impacts your business?
it is the strangest thing because I don't know that everyone would agree, but I think anyone else in the restaurant industry will agree with me. The weather here, especially in Parker County, people, if it's pouring down rain, they're going to stay home. If it's freezing, they're staying home. If it is 110 degrees, they're staying home. I mean, it really does impact us. So when we wake up and look at the weather and it's like 98% chance of thunderstorms, we're like, well,
Why even go into it?
I guess we'll deep clean today, because it's really not going to be, it's not going to be busy.
Yeah.
It's never a surprise. I mean, it just, the weather definitely impacts.
Right.
I remember a Parker County Peach Festival where it felt like 110 degrees.
It was
And
110 degrees.
It was packed in there because you had AC.
Yeah, that Peach Festival is one of those weird things. Yeah, for sure. No matter how hot it is, people show up.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it definitely, the Peach Festival it's crazy. The people, it doesn't stop them.
2 years ago, the Peach Festival was actually, the high that day was 83, which is so crazy because every other year it's at least 100.
Oh, yeah.
And it was awesome because it was packed all day. We had a line out the door as soon as we opened. I mean, it was crazy. It was all day.
She had ladies, watching her stuff.
Yeah. You're talking about the shopping carts?
Yeah, the shopping cart lady that
Yep.
would not take it away from the table.
Yep. Yeah, we do deal with some characters, and it gets a little bit worse whenever there's an event going on.
The general public,
Yep.
always fun. So let's dig into the good stuff. So my go-to is the 6-ounce filet and the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the Brussels sprouts. If you haven't had the Brussels sprouts at Fire Oak Grill, you're missing out. Talk us through
How'd it happen?
Is that you, Grant? Where does that come from?
So it's a little bit of both. Obviously, it's all, most 90% is Grant, like 90% for sure. There are these days, which Grant had an amazing sous chef who I lovingly called his work wife for years up until this last summer. And Grant is the kind of person that he really, if he has an idea, he needs to bounce it off with someone. He has to have that person.
Right.
So Emily was awesome for our work relationship, me and Grant, because I had my lane and he had his.
Right.
And then if he needed to bounce food stuff, I mean, that's Emily all day long.
Yeah.
So since Emily is kind of, she's not with us anymore, she went on to teaching culinary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That sounded weird. Sounded like she maybe died. She did not.
Yeah, she's no longer with
She's
us.
alive and well. Yeah, she's alive and well.
Yeah.
Now I find him in my office a lot more, trying to bounce food stuff off of me. So obviously the two of us worked together before Fire Oak, and we developed a menu and developed food, and I've cooked my whole life, but I was not a chef by any sense of no. I learned how to cook from my mom, my grandparents, So it is interesting learning, and I've learned everything I know about running a restaurant on the food service side from him.
Right.
So the business side of things I kind of knew and handled, but the food side of things, it was a different world. The Brussels sprouts, so I feel like people either love them or hate them. Not ours specifically, Brussels sprouts in general.
Yeah.
You either like Brussels sprouts or you do not like Brussels sprouts. There is no in between. So when we were talking about putting Brussels sprouts on the menu, we said, what's the one thing that makes somebody eat anything? Like, it's you fry them. If you fry anything, like think about the state fair.
Yeah.
If it's fried, people will try them.
Yep.
So even the people who despise Brussels sprouts, when we say, oh, they're fried Brussels sprouts, they're like, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people to try them because they're fried.
They're fried.
Yes.
That's what it is.
about
Light fried
That's
with
not-
some bacon.
That's not everything. They don't have bacon. They don't
Well,
have bacon.
I feel like they did.
They don't.
They
No,
don't.
they never had bacon.
Guess I should go.
Yeah, there's a sauce that we make in house,
Okay.
and then so as soon as they come out of the fryer, we season them. They have a sauce that they're mixed
That's what
with,
it
and
is.
then
That's
these
what-
awesome sweet peppers. Yeah.
You just fry them whole, or you chop them?
No, they're cut. Yeah, they're prepped. Yeah.
In the middle. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes them easier to eat too.
Yeah.
Because you can poke something.
Well,
Whereas
and they're
when they're a
different.
big one.
I feel like we're spending a lot of time on Brussels sprouts, but
Yeah.
they're
Hey, well, you know what? Hey,
It's important.
if we were gonna get on what I eat, it would be a different.
Well, no,
that's
we're
it.
going to get on yours
Yeah,
next.
do I was saying, do you
we
want to
gotta
get into that?
Yeah.
You've got to go to.
I mean, I have go-tos, all kinds of go-tos, but I have one that's almost named after me. I feel like. The kid tacos.
The kid tacos, yeah.
That's the steak tacos, but with no lettuce and tomato, just meat and cheese.
Yeah, meat and cheese only.
Meat
Those are
and cheese only.
Willis's favorite.
Yeah, they are.
Which is literally the kid tacos, but just a bigger portion for Willis. That's it.
That's what I need. I need that bigger portion. There was one week when y'all were doing lunch that I probably had those tacos at least 6 times, because we had people that kept. There were days where I had
Want
them
to go
twice.
to Fire Oak? Want to go to Fire Oak?
Yeah, want to go to Fire Oak, and okay, sure. In lunch menu, I don't feel like I want to eat a burger, which I love y'all's burgers too, which makes me sad that we don't have lunch. I'm just saying.
There's
Shameless plug.
There's a burger on the brunch menu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But the burger and fries are amazing. But I'd get tacos, and then Gary'd be like, "Hey, you want to go Fire Oak?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And we would split tacos. And then the next day we had another meeting, and maybe it wasn't 6; it was at least 4 or 5 times in one week. I had those tacos.
You're not eating really that unhealthy.
No,
you're not. I mean,
No.
it's really high quality steak.
Yep.
I mean, it's
High
not
quality
it's not,
steak. It's
the
got
only thing
onions.
is I don't know how much jalapeno cream you were eating,
Well,
but
I do
that's
eat
the
a
bad
lot
part.
of.
That's probably good.
The jalapeno cream, guys,
Calories on
is
it.
what really. I mean, you just drench every bite.
Okay,
in that.
then you were not
You
eating
know,
healthy if you were
I feel
drenching.
like if I think it's healthy, it's healthy. But I will say go-to wise is the ribeye. That ribeye, that Beeman ribeye, I usually have to split it with someone. But I tell people all the time, I'll put that steak up against any steak in DFW, and I think it'll beat it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, and I think it's a lot to do with the quality of meat. I mean,
Right.
we've had the same ribeye from even the previous owners had that same ribeye
Yeah.
from Beeman Ranch. They just have an incredible product. And
Yeah.
then my husband developed several years ago, before Fire Oak, his like house seasoning, which is this very secret. I mean, and when I tell you secret, he literally keeps ingredients in a lockbox in the office with a lock on it because he does not want his staff to know what's in that. So I know what's in it.
Yeah.
He knows what's in it, and
But
that's
you know
it.
the
The
portions.
ratios.
The
No.
ratios are where you.
I
That-
don't,
that's a
but
huge part.
we have some fail safes. If something happened to him, I know where to go to find the recipe and what that password is and all of that fun stuff to find it. But no, off the top of my head, I do not know the ratios. I just know the ingredients. So if someone comes in, for instance, with an allergy or something,
Yeah.
we have to be really diligent because literally only Grant and I know every ingredient in that seasoning, which it's not anything that's
Right.
high allergen or anything
Right.
like that. But
Somebody might have that one.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
You never know. You never know. There and some of the seasonings in it you can pick out. They're
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
You know, everyone can pick them out. But I think the quality of the meat, that seasoning, and then the fact that we sear them on a cast iron. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong.
Oh, you can't. You can't.
No, it's
No,
delicious.
it's crispy. It's cooked right every time. I mean, it's the best steak that I eat.